When can I retire? Will my state pension be enough to cover all my needs? I've heard £1 million is going to cut it for my pension needs. How do I get there? These are some frequently asked questions, and there's no straightforward answer to these questions, but depends on a lot of factors. One of the biggest factors is your lifestyle and where you are at the moment, and how much time you've got to make a big impact to your retirement savings. So let's try to understand how it pans out using a quick timeline graph. So this is where we're born: 20, 40, 60, 80, and somewhere here we die. No surprises there. Okay, so let's assume for the purpose of this graph that you are aiming to retire at age 65. Now mind you, retirement is not an age, it's really a financial status. So if you've got substantial assets, you can retire at 50. I know people who retired at 40, 45, even less than that. But I've also known people who don't have enough money to retire and they have to push their retirement age to 68, 60, 70 maybe. Okay, so for the purpose of this graph, let's assume that you're going to be retiring at 65, or that's the aim anyway. Right, now this graph has been broken down into two sections. The first section is the accumulation stage, or how I call it is the build-up stage, LD, build up. And the next section is the decumulation stage or phase, and I call it the payoff. How your retirement will pan out in stage 2 or decumulation phase will largely depend on what you do with your wealth in the accumulation phase, okay? And this axis will mark your assets. Right, so somewhere here we start working, okay? So when you start working, so your assets goes up, so your pension, you start saving, and you may buy a house or buy toilets. So your graph is going to go like this, okay? So this is, let's assume this is where you are at the moment. Now, assuming you've got 100k worth of assets saved for your retirement till that date. Now what we can do is, with some clever calculations, we can project what's going to look like by the age of 65. So if you don't make any changes, you carry on doing what you're doing, so your graph is going to go look like this. Okay, so let's assume this is going to be £300,000, right? Now when you retire at 65 with £300,000, is that going to be enough? Well, if you use £30,000 per annum, that's going to run out. You're going to run out of money in 10 years, provided you haven't invested it properly, or it's not returning you anything. But if it's returning you anything, it may run to 12, 15, 18 years maybe. But do you know what's better than £300,000? £400,000 or £500,000 or £600,000, right? So, but what difference can you make now at age 40 to increase this benefit from 300,000 to 400, 500, 600, or even £1 million? Can that happen? Let's see. So what I'm saying is, at this stage, your graph is going to look like this. If you run out of money, let's say at 90, we have a problem. Okay, obviously you're not dead, you're still there, you still need your living expenses. You're either forced to sell down your house or downsize, or you're forced to cut down on your expenses largely. Now that could be a struggle at that stage. Also, mind you, at this stage, you may need some long-term care, which ain't cheap. The current rate on an average long-term care is about £1,000 a week, so that could add up. Now also, from age 67 or 68 onwards, you may be entitled for some state pension. Now, again, state pension is not going to cut it if your lifestyle is large, okay? But if your lifestyle is low, I've known people who are quite happy with £2,000 a month, and I also known people who struggle with £100,000 a month, a year, sorry, in their retirement needs. And also, if you break it down further, when you retire, the initial years, you really want to live it up. You want to go traveling. You want to do, pursue a hobby, an expensive hobby or something. So your expenses are higher in the initial years of retirement, and then it draws down a bit, and then it goes up again with long-term care and some medical needs and things like that. Okay, so this is what it is. Now, now what I want to show you is what difference we can make. So we are here at age 40 now. Now, if you make some clever decisions and make some clever financial planning strategies, your graph can actually go like this. So instead of retiring at 300k, you may retire at 500, 600, 700, right? Now let's call this as level 1 and this is level 2. So what difference can this make? How much can that gap be? Could it be hundreds of pounds? Could it be thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds? Or could it be £1 million or even more? So let's see. So the aim is to have more assets here And mind you, this is on top of what you're doing already, okay? So from here, if you retire, your graph in retirement is going to look somewhere like this. And this is the amount of money you're going to leave to your beneficiaries. Now, mind you, this will give you some more freedom. Freedom as in you can either retire earlier, you don't have to stay till 65, you can retire at 60, 62 maybe, or 55, or you might spend a little bit more in your retirement, okay? So this is the actual benefit that a good financial plan or good financial strategies can provide you, okay? Right, now again, coming back to this figure, how much could it be? The trick is to start early. The sooner you start, the better it is for you, okay? Let's see. I've got some numbers here. Now, these numbers assume the return of 7%, a net return of 7%. Now, if you start at 20, all you need is investing £300 a month to get to £1 million at age 65. And if you start at 30, this figure goes up to £600 a month. And if you start at 40, this figure goes up to £1,250 a month. And if you start at 50, this figure goes up to £2,900 a month. So you see what I'm trying to show you. The sooner you start, the better it is to get to £1 million, right? Now, the other benefit is if you have some clever strategies in place, all you need to do is you don't really have to invest this figure. What if I told you you only have to do 80% of this figure, or even 60% of that figure, and the remaining 20% and 40% can be added on to your pension using some very clever tax benefit strategies that we can implement right now. If you're not doing it, you're missing out. So this is the value add, and that is pretty much it. Before we go, I'm going to show you something called the rule of 72. This is a quick calculation that we use for projections, really. So it's called rule of 72. What it does is if you divide the rate of return, if you divide the rate of return by 72, you get the number of years that will double your money. I'll give you an example. So if your rate of return is 10%, you will need 7.2 years to double your money. And if your rate of return is 7.2%, in 10 years you will double your money. Okay, remember guys, wealth is what you accumulate. Wealth is not what you spend. Okay, financial planning is not just about investments and savings. It's basically about this phase as well. So you need to be disciplined. So people who generate or accumulate more wealth are very disciplined in terms of, you know, what happens in their stage, in the accumulation stage. CIPLINE, discipline. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Is it hard? Well, not really. If you can afford £300 or £2,880 a year when you're 20, I can guarantee you're gonna be very cheerful in your retirement, and you don't have to rely on downsizing or selling your assets and things like that. That's pretty much it from now. If you have any questions, please let me know. And next time, I think we're going to be covering pensions in more detail. And the following videos will be based around investments and things. Okay, cheers. Thank you.